with the case because she knew she was right.
It was a David and Goliath test. I'm only a little person, but it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the dog in the fight in the dog.
Myriad Genetics is yet to respond. Elizabeth Byrne, ABC News, Canberra.
Developing the North has been a catchphrase for years, but now, for the first time, there's a federal government minister whose sole job it is to make that happen. Minister for Northern Australia, Josh Frydenberg, was one of the big winners in the Turnbull government cabinet reshuffle and is in Darwin. James Oaten met with the minister earlier today and asked him what his portfolio means for the top end.
The new Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, has emphasised that we need further development in our north. That's in parts of Western Australia and Queensland, and of course here in the Northern Territory.
One of the obvious questions that emerged when you were given this portfolio is, why is a MP from the leafy suburbs of Melbourne in charge of Northern Australia?
I came to this portfolio from the Assistant Treasurer's portfolio, so I was familiar with some of the economic debates and how we can drive greater infrastructure spending. And when you come from Victoria, you don't have preferences over Queensland, Western Australia or Northern Territory.
So this idea of developing the North, it's nothing particularly new. It's become a bit of a catchphrase these days. How do we move from this big, broad concept into actual concrete results?
Well, our government's the first government to have produced a white paper for the development of Northern Australia. This is a blueprint for reform, and it includes many new commitments and initiatives, including $5 billion worth of concessional loans to invest in infrastructure.
The economy is going strongly at the moment, and that's due largely to the big Inpex gas onshore plant. What happens when construction there wraps up? Are you worried that we are heading for some kind of an economic cliff?
Look, I'm very upbeat actually about the opportunities in the energy and the resources space, which will invite further investment. Our global energy demand will increase by 1/3 by 2040, and clearly the natural resources here are to be tapped. We're seeing tourism represent a large part of this economy, and with the lower Australian dollar, those opportunities will continue to grow. Aquaculture and agriculture are hugely important, and if we can trap some of that water that falls above the Tropic of Capricorn, I think that will create even more opportunities for agriculture.
Well, in terms of water infrastructure, the federal government has allocated $400 million for water infrastructure, such as dams. We've got $100 million on feasibility studies. Once again, these are big ideas, but when are we going to start seeing some actual concrete plans here?
You'd expect when we're putting Australian taxpayers' money to work that we would do so in a considered way. So those feasibility studies are really important to ensure that the right projects are invested in the right way.
Minister, thanks for your time.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Two former presidents of the Country Liberals Party have today applied to create a new independent party. Called One Territory, they lodged their application with the Northern Territory Electoral Commission in Darwin this afternoon. The party president says they're already polling the public